Imagine depositing your life savings into one of the most trusted financial companies in the world. Then one morning, you wake up, and the money is gone. Not because hackers stole it, not because the market crashed, but because the company itself no longer knows where the money is. In November 2022, that nightmare became reality for millions of people. FTX was worth $32 billion. Its founder was celebrated as a genius. Investors trusted it. Celebrities promoted it. The media called it the future of finance. Then, in less than a week, the entire empire collapsed. And what investigators discovered afterwards shocked the financial world. This is the rise and fall of FTX. To understand how FTX became one of the biggest financial disasters of the 21st century, we first need to understand the man who built it. Sam Bankman-Fried was born in California in 1992 into a family of academics. Both of his parents were professors at Stanford Law School. Education was highly valued in the household, and from an early age, Sam demonstrated a talent for mathematics and analytical thinking. He wasn't known for charisma or leadership. Instead, he developed a reputation as someone who could solve difficult problems faster than most people around him. After high school, he attended MIT, one of the world's most prestigious universities, where he studied physics. While many future entrepreneurs dream of building companies, Sam was more interested in systems, probabilities, and decision-making. During this period, he became interested in a movement known as effective altruism. The philosophy argued that people should use logic and evidence to maximize the positive impact they have on the world. One popular idea within the movement was simple: earn as much money as possible, then use that wealth to help others. After graduating, Sam joined Jane Street Capital, a highly successful trading firm on Wall Street. There he learned how modern markets functioned. He learned about risk, liquidity, arbitrage, and the complex mechanics behind global finance. Most importantly, he learned how small inefficiencies could generate enormous profits when exploited at scale. The experience gave him both technical expertise and confidence. In 2017, cryptocurrency was beginning to attract serious attention. Prices were rising rapidly, and the industry was still immature. Sam saw opportunities everywhere. One of the most famous involved Bitcoin trading at significantly different prices in different countries. In Japan, Bitcoin often traded thousands of dollars higher than it did in the United States. Sam realized he could buy Bitcoin in one market and sell it in another. The strategy seemed simple, but executing it at scale generated huge profits. To pursue these opportunities, he founded Alameda Research. The company quickly became one of the largest trading firms in the cryptocurrency industry. As crypto markets expanded, Alameda's profits grew. Sam suddenly found himself operating inside one of the fastest-growing sectors in finance. For many entrepreneurs, that success would have been enough, but Sam had bigger ambitions. He believed cryptocurrency needed a better exchange. Existing platforms were often unreliable, slow, and poorly designed for professional traders. If he could build a superior exchange, he could potentially create one of the most valuable companies in the entire industry. That idea would eventually become FTX. FTX launched in 2019, entering an increasingly competitive cryptocurrency market. At first, the company looked like just another exchange, but Sam focused heavily on features that appealed to professional traders. FTX offered sophisticated products, advanced risk management tools, and derivatives that many competitors struggled to provide. Traders noticed the difference almost immediately. Then the timing turned out to be perfect. In 2020 and 2021, cryptocurrency experienced one of the largest bull markets in history. Bitcoin surged to record highs. Ethereum exploded in value. Retail investors flooded into the market. Institutional investors began taking crypto seriously. Every day, billions of dollars flowed into digital assets. The entire industry entered a period of extraordinary optimism. FTX benefited from this wave more than almost anyone expected. User growth accelerated. Trading volume exploded. Revenue surged. Investors rushed to participate in funding rounds. Each new investment pushed the company's valuation higher. What had started as a small startup quickly transformed into one of the most valuable private companies in the world. But Sam understood something that many founders overlooked. Building a financial company wasn't only about technology. It was about trust, and trust often comes from visibility. FTX launched one of the most aggressive marketing campaigns in modern financial history. The company signed partnerships with major sports organizations. The Miami Heat's arena was renamed FTX Arena. Baseball umpires began wearing FTX logos. Television advertisements appeared during some of the most watched events in America. Then came celebrity endorsements. Tom Brady invested in the company. Gisele Bündchen became involved. Steph Curry partnered with the brand. Larry David appeared in a Super Bowl commercial. Everywhere consumers looked. FTX seemed to be gaining legitimacy. The company wasn't just selling cryptocurrency, it was selling confidence. At the same time, Sam became one of the most recognizable figures in finance. Media organizations portrayed him as a new type of billionaire. Unlike the traditional image of wealth, Sam appeared humble and unconventional. Articles described him as someone who slept near his desk and focused on solving problems rather than enjoying luxury. The story was irresistible. Investors wanted exposure. Journalists wanted interviews. Politicians wanted meetings. By early 2022, FTX was valued at $32 billion. Sam Bankman-Fried's personal fortune was estimated at more than $20 billion. Some observers believed he might eventually become one of the richest people in the world. To supporters, he represented the future of finance. To critics, he represented a level of hype that seemed almost impossible to justify. Neither side realized how close the company already was to disaster. As FTX continued growing, the company moved much of its operation to the Bahamas. On the surface, the decision made sense. The country offered a more flexible regulatory environment and allowed crypto companies to move faster than they could in the United States. But over time, the Bahamas became more than just a headquarters. It became the center of an empire that was increasingly disconnected from reality. A small group of executives lived together in a luxury penthouse overlooking the ocean. The apartment reportedly cost tens of millions of dollars and became symbolic of the company's culture. The people controlling billions of dollars in customer assets were often young, inexperienced, and operating in an environment with very little oversight. To outsiders, the lifestyle looked exciting. It reinforced the image of a new generation of entrepreneurs replacing old Wall Street institutions. But inside the company, warning signs were beginning to appear. Former employees would later describe an organization where critical decisions were concentrated among a small group of insiders. Traditional corporate structures were either weak or missing entirely. There was no mature risk committee. Internal reporting systems were limited. Documentation was often incomplete. Important financial decisions could be approved through casual conversations or messaging apps rather than formal procedures. At the same time, the relationship between FTX and Alameda Research remained unusually close. Publicly, customers believed they were dealing with an independent exchange. Privately, Alameda occupied a privileged position within the ecosystem. It had access to advantages that ordinary users never received. The deeper investigators later looked, the more they discovered that the separation between the two companies was far less clear than most people assumed. None of this mattered while cryptocurrency prices continued rising. Investors were making money. Customers were making money. Venture capital firms were seeing enormous gains on paper. Success has a way of silencing criticism. And during the crypto boom, very few people wanted to question one of the industry's biggest success stories. By 2022, the cryptocurrency market had begun to change. The explosive growth of the previous 2 years was slowing. Interest rates were rising. Investors were becoming more cautious. Several major crypto companies had already started experiencing serious problems. The easy money that fueled the boom was disappearing. For FTX, this shift created a dangerous challenge. During a bull market, weaknesses can remain hidden because new capital constantly enters the system. But when markets decline, weaknesses become visible. Liquidity becomes important. Risk management becomes important. Transparency becomes important. Sometimes. Behind the scenes, Alameda Research was facing increasing pressure. The trading firm had suffered significant losses during the market downturn. Yet many of those losses were not visible to the public. According to later investigations, Alameda's financial health depended heavily on assets connected to FTX itself, particularly the exchange's native token, FTT. This created a dangerous situation. The value of Alameda depended on confidence in FTX. At the same time, confidence in FTX depended on the belief that Alameda was financially stable. The two organizations had become deeply interconnected. If one fell, the other would almost certainly fall as well. Still, very few people outside the company understood the scale of the risk. Publicly, Sam continued appearing in interviews. He discussed regulation, innovation, and the future of cryptocurrency. Investors continued viewing him as one of the industry's most credible leaders. FTX even positioned itself as a rescuer of struggling crypto companies, providing loans and support to firms facing difficulties. The image was powerful. FTX appeared stronger than everyone else. In reality, the foundations of the empire were beginning to crack. Then came the event that would trigger the collapse. In early November 2022, a report published by CoinDesk revealed details from Alameda Research's balance sheet. At first glance, the document looked like a routine financial disclosure, but analysts quickly noticed something alarming. A large portion of Alameda's assets appeared to be tied to FTT, the token created by FTX. This immediately raised serious questions. How much of Alameda's value was real? What would happen if FTT lost value? How independent were Alameda and FTX from one another? For years, these questions had remained largely theoretical. Suddenly, they became urgent. The report spread rapidly across social media and financial circles. Investors began debating whether the companies were far more fragile than previously believed. Confidence started to weaken. And in finance, confidence is often the most valuable asset of all. Then the situation became dramatically worse. Changpeng Zhao, the founder and CEO of Binance, announced publicly that Binance planned to sell its holdings of FTT. The statement shocked the crypto industry. Binance was one of the largest players in the market, and many interpreted the announcement as a vote of no confidence in FTX. Within hours, panic began spreading. The countdown had started. What happened next resembled a classic bank run, except it unfolded at internet speed. Customers began withdrawing funds from FTX. At first, the amounts were manageable. Then, withdrawals accelerated. Millions became billions. Every hour brought new requests. Users feared that if they waited too long, their money might become trapped. The problem was simple. FTX did not have enough liquid assets available to satisfy all withdrawal requests. As customers rushed for the exits, the company struggled to keep up. Social media exploded with rumors. Screenshots of delayed withdrawals circulated online. Fear spread faster than facts. Sam Bankman-Fried attempted to calm the situation. Public statements assured customers that assets were safe and operations were functioning normally, but confidence was disappearing too quickly. The market no longer wanted promises. It wanted proof. On November 8th, a dramatic announcement appeared. Binance had signed a non-binding agreement to potentially acquire FTX. For a brief moment, it seemed the crisis might be contained. The crypto industry watched closely as traders hoped a rescue deal would prevent catastrophe. SARS. But after reviewing the situation, Binance walked away. The company cited concerns about financial problems and reports of mishandled customer funds. The decision sent shockwaves through the market. If Binance wasn't willing to save FTX, who would? The answer soon became obvious. No one. As the crisis intensified, disturbing information began emerging about how customer funds had allegedly been handled. Reports suggested that billions of dollars belonging to FTX customers had been transferred to Alameda Research. Money that users believed was safely held on the exchange had potentially been used to support risky trading activities. The revelation destroyed what little confidence remained. Investors fled, customers panicked, partners distanced themselves. Regulators launched investigations. Then, on November 11th, 2022, FTX filed for bankruptcy. One of the most valuable companies in the crypto industry had collapsed in less than 10 days. The scale of the disaster was extraordinary. Millions of customers around the world suddenly faced uncertainty regarding their assets. Venture capital firms that had invested hundreds of millions of dollars saw those investments effectively wiped out. Sam Bankman-Fried's fortune, once estimated at more than $20 billion, evaporated almost overnight. The new CEO appointed to oversee the bankruptcy process delivered a statement that captured the magnitude of the failure. Having previously worked on some of the largest corporate collapses in American history, he stated that he had never seen such a complete failure of corporate controls. For many observers, that statement was more shocking than the bankruptcy itself, because it suggested that beneath the image of innovation and sophistication, one of the world's most celebrated financial companies had been operating with astonishingly weak safeguards. Many people view the collapse of FTX as a story about cryptocurrency, but the deeper lesson extends far beyond digital assets. History is filled with companies that convinced themselves they were different from their competitors, different from traditional institutions, different from the failures that came before them. Yet the same pattern appears again and again. Success creates confidence. Confidence creates power. Power creates arrogance. And arrogance often leads leaders to believe that rules no longer apply to them. FTX did not fail because technology failed. It did not fail because innovation failed. It failed because basic principles of finance were ignored. Transparency was sacrificed. Risk was underestimated. Oversight was neglected. And trust, the single most important asset in any financial institution, was gradually destroyed. Today, the FTX name has become a warning, a reminder that even the fastest-growing empires can collapse when confidence disappears. For a brief moment, FTX seemed unstoppable. It had money, influence, celebrity endorsements, political connections, and global recognition. It looked like the future of finance, but in the end, it suffered the same fate that has destroyed countless financial empires throughout history. Not because it lacked ambition, not because it lacked intelligence, but because it believed success had made it untouchable.